We want to welcome everyone to our parent training today. Today we are going to be talking about sibling support. Today's topic is one that we think is super important, and we want to be able to talk about this very candidly. And also, we know that a lot of the things that I specifically am going to be talking about are going to be things that are very difficult, and we just want everyone to know that the Pingree Center is here as a beacon of support, and we are happy to help in any way that we can. When I was doing research for this subject, I was actually really shocked of the lack of resources and research that there was supporting it. There was a lot of really great ideas of things that I wanted to talk about, and then I came across Indiana Institute on Disabilities and Community, and they had one of the greatest articles that I have read in regards to sibling support, and it is broken down into 12 steps. And so that is what I've chosen to focus on today. We could talk about sibling support for probably an entire year of trainings, and so we're excited to give a little introduction into sibling support and how important it is for the entire family unit. And so we will get started with that. I loved this picture because I felt like it represented so much. And as someone that was an only child, I find this very interesting because watching my own children, I never know if the sibling relationship that I see is normal, but I feel like this picture really represents what having a sibling looks like. And so I loved this quote: "A sibling represents a person's past, present, and future." We're going to talk about a little bit about relationships and the importance of sibling relationships. We know that potentially a sibling relationship can be one of the longest relationships in your life. You are able to share common memories together, share experiences together, and we also know the importance of siblings and how they have such an impact on our social skills development. We know that siblings can be really great influences on our lives, and they can also teach us about empathy and acceptance. And we all know that they can also teach us how to fight and fight really hard. So it's just something that's a very great building relationship. So on the other side, we're also going to talk about sibling relationships in autism. I'm going to let you know before I get into the training, I'm going to be more specifically talking about siblings and relationships with autism. And so some of the research is showing that the sibling relationships with those that may have a brother or sister on the spectrum, they are experiencing very significant and unique experiences. Their families can both be strengthened and stressed. Experiences can be different for all members of the family and all siblings of the family. Everyone is going to have a different experience, just in any kind of relationship. There may be some negative experiences, including anxiety, anger, jealousy, embarrassment, loss, and loneliness. This is why it's such an important topic to be talking about. There can be some barriers in these types of relationships as well. We could have barriers of bonding, barriers of communication, and barriers of social interaction. Often siblings may feel obligated or asked to take on the role as a caregiver. As with any relationship, there is influences on empathy and acceptance. So we're gonna go and jump into the 12 needs for siblings. Again, this is from Indiana University Bloomington, and they have an entire resource center for autism, and I am excited to jump in and learn more about the resources that they have, but I really liked these 12 needs that they had presented. So the first need that they talk about are siblings need communication that is open, honest, developmentally appropriate, and ongoing. So it's really important for parents to begin their journey of healing and dealing with their feelings so they can effectively share information with siblings. As we know, this is a revolving door. We're always going to be introduced to new feelings and reactions. And so it's something that as a parent, we have to constantly be working on. We always want to be working on how we're feeling in a situation and how we're dealing with that situation so we can teach our children appropriate ways to present their feelings and emotions. We also want to create information that is developmentally appropriate for the sibling. We're going to talk a little bit more about this in the steps a little bit further down, but this is just an important conversation to have. So you've got to really match your conversation with the age of your child. The sibling may have a variety of emotions and reactions. So just as we are having reactions to things that happen in our life, siblings are also having those reactions as well. So sometimes the stress of a sibling sibling could look like withdrawing from situations, or it could stem in inappropriate behaviors. So we want to really make sure that we give siblings space, but we also are watching what is a normal and typical behavior pattern for them and make sure that we are just supporting them the best that we can. And it's also very important to remember that parents and guardians should be prepared to be the one to initiate the conversation due to the reluctancy of a sibling's fear or questions or upsetting parents or their guardians. So what that means is we have to really muster up that courage to have these really tough conversations with siblings, because they may just be a little bit nervous to come and talk to us about certain things. And so we want to make sure that we have that open door and that open communication with our children. The second step that we're going to talk about, our siblings need developmentally appropriate and ongoing information about their siblings' autism spectrum disorder. We want to protect as a parent. That's kind of one of our natural reactions. But what that can do is that lack of information of understanding what is going on with their sibling may cause some distress, anxiety, and fear. They just may not know what's going on, how to handle it. And so we want to make sure that we are always providing information to them. Again, information is important for younger siblings so they understand the dynamics and won't be afraid. Due to the age, they're only going to understand what they see. So we have to make sure that we are staying a very appropriate age level when we are expressing or demonstrating how we interact, how we talk to a sibling that may be on the spectrum. And so we just want to make sure that we are keeping that very age appropriate. So this is for our younger little siblings. For our school-age children, they need to know if their siblings' autism may get worse and what may happen. That's a really tough question. And as a parent, it's hard to understand what level of support may be needed, but it's a very good idea to just have that open communication with them, because they are worried about their sibling as well, and they just want to know kind of what to expect. And then it's really important to have these big conversations with our adolescent children as well, because they're always going to be needing that ongoing information, because as they grow, they may get some anxieties about the future and what their responsibilities may look like as that sibling and the impact it may have on their future family. The third step that we'll talk about is siblings need parental attention that is consistent, individualized, and celebrates their uniqueness. This is across the board for just parents and siblings in general. You want to make sure that you are celebrating everyone's achievements, as they are all special achievements. So making sure that we are praising expected behavior and achievements at all times, and not only just celebrating the really big, amazing achievements. We want to make sure that we want to celebrate all achievements. It's a very good reminder that self-esteem is tied to positive recognition from parents and guardians. We know that kids are getting a lot of input from a lot of different places, but when they come to their parents and their guardians, they are really getting that needed positive recognition. The fourth one is siblings need time with a parent that is specifically for them. So scheduling special times or dates on a regular basis, making sure that those are very consistent and you do those often. And it does not have to be big special dates or events or anything like that. It could just be simply by making special time at bedtime or on a car ride when it's just you and them, and you want to spend uninterrupted time with them. So phones away, computers away, distractions away, and really, really engage with your child. And then make this time so special and specific, and so then they can count on that time and know that it's just for them. The fifth one is siblings need to learn skill of interaction with their brother or sister with an autism spectrum disorder. So we want to provide opportunities for siblings to play with each other, because this is such an important part of their relationship. But we want to make sure that these activities are age appropriate. And most importantly, we want these activities to be interactive. We want to maybe steer away from our iPads. We want to steer away from things that are creating the interactiveness, and we want to sit with each other and do interactive play back and forth. It could be simple as rolling a ball back and forth. It could be playing Legos, it could be doing puzzles, but the key here is that we want it to be interactive play. We want to teach siblings necessary play skills that are going to promote success. So we want to teach them the skills of prompting their siblings to do things. We also want to make sure that when the siblings are interacting with somebody that is on the spectrum, we want to make sure that they are giving appropriate instructions. So we want to make sure it's to the level of communication that is most comfortable. So it could be verbal communication, it It could be schedule recognition, so going over schedules. It could be using our PECs. It could be using an iPad if that is the preferred mode of communication. So we want to make sure that we are just really engaging all of the siblings in that. And then also teaching siblings the importance of giving choices. We want all of their interactions to be as positive based as possible. And we have found, and research also suggests, that giving choices is one of our best options in creating that independence. So just giving them an A choice or a B choice and letting them pick. We also want to make sure that we are praising our siblings for interacting with each other, even if it doesn't go as planned, because that is going to happen. Things are just not always going to go how we envision it or how we see planned. And the biggest thing when you're seeing your children interact is don't give up. Even if it lasts 30 seconds, that is 30 wonderful, beautiful seconds of learning things about one another that are going to impact our entire world, not only just your family. So don't ever give up. The sixth one is siblings need to be able to have some choice about how involved they are with their brother or sister with autism spectrum disorder. Help set reasonable expectations of siblings and respect their need for private time and space away from their siblings. I know this is way easier said than done. Try to use respite care, try to use community supports or other available supports so you're not dependent on the sibling. And again, I will echo this because I know you're probably shaking your head and being like, Megan, I want to use all of these resources and it's so incredibly hard. And just know that we are there with you and we are there to help and support you and figure out the best way to utilize these services that are provided. The seventh one, siblings need to feel that they and their belongings are safe from their brother or sister with autism spectrum disorder. I love that they pinpointed this because I feel like we all have things that are very special and important to us and we want to keep them safe from our siblings in general. We want to make sure that we're creating a safe space for siblings to go and put their stuff. And then we also want to create a safe and respectful and research-based teaching for siblings on how to respond if they are in a situation where things escalate. We want to make sure that everyone is safe and that things are handled in a very safe way. The eighth one is siblings need to feel that their brother or sister is being treated as normal as possible. And we always want to quote that normal because we don't know what normal looks like. We don't know what normal is, but we want to keep the atmosphere that they are feeling like everyone in a whole is getting treated in the house the same way. It's really important as parents to have that open dialogue and communication with the siblings of treatment and how expectations of discipline and expectations may look different. And this can look different for every sibling. Every sibling has a different expectation or a value or a role in the home. And so we want to make sure that as parents, we are providing those expectations to everyone and having that open dialogue. And one of the most important parts about this is be open to experimenting and promoting responsibility. Make sure it's age and ability appropriate, but do this to all of the children in the home. Don't underestimate what can be done. The ninth one is siblings need time to work through their feelings with patience, understanding, and guidance from their parents or guardian and or professional if appropriate. This not only is important for siblings, but this is important for parents as well. We want to make sure that we are talking to the siblings with validation of both support of positive and negative experiences and make sure that they know that these experiences may not feel like a typical experience that maybe their friends experience, but let them know that they are validated in having those feelings about those experiences. When you're talking with your children, make sure you're reflecting back of what they're saying. So when you're having a conversation with them, really listen to what they're saying. We know that you probably are feeling equally as frustrated or having really big feelings coming up too, but in the moment, really reflect on what your child is saying to you. And what reflection looks like is when your child is expressing a concern or telling about an experience that they have, maybe reflect back to them. And what you do is you're saying, I'm hearing you are saying XYZ. And that makes them feel really seen and really heard, as I'm sure for you that also is something that feels really good. Remember that you are such an important role and model of behavior. And so a lot of times kids are going to mimic the roles and behaviors that they're seeing in the house. So really remember that when you are having a reaction to a situation too. It is okay to take a break. It is okay to walk away for just a minute and just collect yourself. yourself. And then assist with ways to cope and manage their emotions. This is really, really hard when we're trying to manage and cope with our feelings on our own, but our children really, really need that example and they need that validation. The 10th one, siblings need opportunities to experience a normal family life and activity. Again, we're using that term normal very, very loosely, but I understand, again, this is going to be taking resources that may not be available or you're on a waiting list for. And so just really utilizing all of the resources in the community that you can. Maybe that is joining a support group of parents and you kind of can maybe trade off on watching kids or helping with some of those tasks. I know it's really hard, but we all need to take a deep breath and ask for help. People want to help. They really, really do. And so it's very important to just take that breath and take that leap and ask for that help. And it's important to be validated as a parent as well, because anyone would be overwhelmed with outbreaks of ongoing stress. So just know how important it is for you to take a break. And it's also important for the siblings and parents to participate in activities where the focus of the energy is not on the child with special needs. When I even say that, it sounds so incredibly harsh, but it is such an important thing to do where each child in the home is getting kind of that center of attention and just getting that validation and praise for being who they are. And so we just want to make sure it's important to have those activities where the focus is on them as well. The 11th one, siblings need opportunities to feel that they are not alone and that others understand and share some of the same experiences. It's important to recognize that siblings need to understand that there are others growing up with similar family dynamics. And this is when really reaching out to your community is such an important task, because we all want to know we're not alone in our feelings and we all want to know that we are validated for having those feelings. So seek out those services for siblings to meet with other siblings or sibling support groups. And the last one is siblings need to learn strategies for dealing with questions and comments from peers and others in the community. Help siblings prepare for reactions from others towards their brother or sister. And make sure siblings, I said shave and I meant share. Everyone that read that did not catch that. We'll fix that. Make sure that siblings share accurate facts surrounding autism spectrum disorder. This is such a great opportunity for autism acceptance and for us to spread awareness. It's kind of one of those really important tasks as a sibling, is to be able to be that beacon of information and for support, and then also to just be that help in the guiding of more appropriate acceptance and treatment of all people. And I realize that we could probably talk about this for many, many trainings, like I said earlier. And so these are just 12 needs of support for siblings that we're focusing on right now. And we are open to talking more and more, because we could talk individually about all of these for a great amount of time. So this is just kind of a snippet, but a nice little refresher of just things that we should just be doing. It's evident that unique bonds that siblings with a brother or sister on the autism spectrum have. And again, it's so important to know that this will affect each person differently. There is not a book on how you should be acting or responding, but just know that everyone is going to react differently. So we're going to talk a little bit about resources. And this is the part earlier that I was talking about, as I was really surprised at the lack of resources. And so I'm really hoping that we can provide a little bit more opportunity to be resources for siblings. I did find a Camp K, that is located here in the Salt Lake Valley, and they have what's called a partner camp. And it's a really unique opportunity. Their entire basis is teaching about inclusion. So what they do is they will have students come and participate in a full day program. Half day, peers and students will be able to interact with a variety of different abilities, and they are given that opportunity to interact and meet other people. And then the other half of the day, they can spend that time getting to know other people and their experiences. I'm assuming a lot of them are siblings, and so it would be a really great opportunity for them to interact and just know that they're not alone. I did find a website called the Sibling Support Project, and it looks like it's a lot of online interaction, but it is based on sibling support of different variety of abilities and siblings that have interacted and had family dynamics certain pertaining to that. And then the Organization for Autism Research has downloadable books, and they have 3 different books that you can download. There's one for parents, there's one for young siblings, and then there's one for teenage siblings. And I have copies of all of those, so if you guys need access to those, I am happy to provide find those for you. They are a really, really great resource. And then again, I wanted to speak into the references of Indiana University Bloomington and how wonderful I thought that this article was on that sibling perspective. So knowing that we talked about something that is really intense and kind of a little bit more heavy than I'm usually talking to you guys with, I want to leave us with 10 parenting affirmations. And so what I would love for you to do is take a deep breath, breathe really in through your nose and really hard out through your mouth. And I want you to repeat these affirmations and print these, put these all over your mirror, put them in your car, put them wherever you see, because you're doing such a wonderful job. The first one is, I am a good parent. I can listen. I can love. I will be kind to myself. It's okay to take a break. There is value in what I do. I can live in the moment. I can ask for help. I focus on progress, not perfection, and I've got this. And just repeat those mantras to you every single day, because you do have this. And just know that we at Pingree are here to support and help provide the best care that we can. And I thank you guys so much for spending some time with me and listening to this training.